These are the biggest mistakes I see racing drivers make with the brake pedal. After hundreds of hours of coaching on the sim and in real life, I have compiled the 3 biggest mistakes both beginner and intermediate drivers make when braking. Whether you're 300 iRating or 3000 iRating, I guarantee you're still making at least one of the mistakes in this video, which is stopping you from becoming a top 1% driver. In this video, we're going to go through what these common issues are, why they're causing you to lose time, and how we can fix them. Without any further ado, let's get into it. Number 1, you don't understand the differences between braking in a Formula car and in a GT car. Yes, that's right. Completely different braking techniques are required for these different car types. When most drivers start out in sim racing, they pick one discipline or another to focus on, and they slowly progress, and eventually they get up to a decent pace until they begin trying out Formula cars, for example, and they're completely off pace. Here's why. In Formula cars, it's necessary to have a fast and hard initial application of the brakes to ensure we're using all of the available grip. However, immediately after our initial peak pressure, we have to begin releasing the brake to avoid locking up the tires. This is due to the fact that Formula cars possess higher aerodynamic downforce rates due to the big wings, floors, and overall body shape. What this means is that at our top speed coming into a turn, we have our maximum downforce, meaning the limit of the tire and grip capabilities is at its highest, but as soon as we start slowing down under braking, the downforce and grip levels begin to reduce. And this is the reason why the braking trace in a Formula car resembles that of a right angle triangle, as it follows similarly to the deficit of speed graph through deceleration due to less and less aero efficiency at our disposal when we begin to slow down. In GT cars, the main differences are that they have much less aero, along with the fact that they weigh significantly more than a small Formula car, and in some cases they have ABS. This means that in sports cars, we need to be a bit more gentle with how fast we initially apply the brakes, as aggressive brake inputs can easily overheat the tires, along with the fact that braking overly aggressive will upset the weight transfer of the car, considering how much heavier they are. This point is a great segue into the second biggest braking mistake I see, which is abusing the ABS system. GT3s, GT4s, and many lower level sports cars feature anti-locking braking systems. In iRacing, almost all cars equipped with these ABS systems are extremely sensitive to drivers abusing them and will typically punish you for doing so. When watching beginner or intermediate drivers, I often see them braking to a peak pressure of 100% in most slow speed corners, as they think more brake equals more braking efficiency. While I understand the logic, this is far from the truth in iRacing. More often than not, when you go deep into the ABS system, you will not only get a reduction in actual deceleration, but you'll also be abusing the limit of the front tires, more specifically overheating the surface temperature, causing less grip mid-corner, leading into a snowball effect through the session. What I usually tell beginner drivers is to think of ABS like a safety feature that is simply preventing the car from locking up if you apply too much braking pressure. Long story short, it is okay to slightly trigger ABS, but generally we do not want to be overusing it. Some cars in iRacing, such as the GR86 Cup car, react quite positively to going into ABS, but this is very rare, so keep that in mind. Finally, we have one of the most talked about techniques in racing, trail braking. Many drivers around the world think they're doing this correctly, but 99% of the time it can be improved. What most drivers do is they end up blindly releasing the brake after the threshold period and often overlook how inefficient they're being during this trail braking phase. Too much or too little brake pressure can not only cause you to understeer, but it may also be the cause of you spinning out mid-corner when you're not sure why it's actually happening. The important secret with trail braking is to not only time your release of the brakes with the steering, but also with the yaw rate of the car. When teaching drivers the concept of trail braking for the first time, I typically go through the basic string theory that every seasoned driver has heard of at one point or another. Let's put it this way. You have a string attached to the side of your steering wheel, and as you turn, the string gets tighter and tighter, pulling your brake pedal closer to 0% until it reaches that point at your maximum steering angle. You guys get the point. When drivers start nailing the more basic theory, it's time to start introducing a more advanced aspect to it. At this point, we'll move into timing the rate that we're releasing the brake to the amount of rotation we're receiving from the car, which you'll be able able to notice through the yaw visually changing on screen and through the weight of the wheel if you have a higher end wheelbase. Sometimes it is harder to achieve this on a lower end wheelbase as you don't get as much feel, but the visual cues should be sufficient. Those were the 3 most common braking mistakes I see when coaching drivers in iRacing. If you guys want to go faster and you don't know why you're off pace, feel free to check out the link in the description to book a one-on-one coaching session with me to make you go faster.